reaction to Miko Worldwide, the dark side of YouTube. So, if you don't know, Miko Worldwide is a YouTuber that he goes to different neighborhoods and he do like hood vlogs and stuff. And then China Mac supposedly exposed him, saying that he's a pedophile. So we're gonna see what's up. We got my boy doing the story. We got 1090J doing the story. And here we go. We're about to see what's up.
You gotta take our video down. I don't give a take our down, and you're not allowed to come back to New York City, bro.
Y'all New York, man. Y'all some man. I'll kill y'all, man. What's up? Pull up. We out here, Miko Worldwide.
Miko Worldwide. Listen, I'm a grown-ass man, and I can admit when I'm wrong.
Hey, do y'all believe people could ban people from states? Let me know in the comments.
I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I can apologize for my mistakes. I spreaded some false rumors about you, man. And I know in the video I said that you forced yourself on a 15-year-old boy, and I was wrong. You know what I mean? And that
Whoa. All right.
wasn't true. Instead,
You can't say that type of stuff about people because even if they get found innocent, that still gonna stick with them. People gonna still look at them as pedophiles. So that's what you say about people. Here we go.
you forced yourself on a 17-year-old boy. My bad. Next time, I'm gonna make sure that I get
Well, okay, it was a boy. My bad. But we gonna see if he need paperwork and all that, you know.
the facts straight.
YouTube has been on fire since China Mac addressed criminal allegations against another YouTuber by the name of Miko. Based out of Georgia, Miko's YouTube career dates back to 2019 when he started vlogging in the Dominican Republic before traveling to other foreign locations such as Thailand, Germany, and Colombia. But his last trip to Colombia in 2020 would gain national attention. Miko was arrested by Colombia's CTI, a law enforcement agency that partners with US law enforcement when investigating, arresting, and deporting criminals. According to the CTI's website, Miko was located inside of a restaurant in Medellin, Colombia, and placed under the authority of migration pending deportation back to the US. The CTI stated, according to reports from US authorities, Miko offered drugs to a 10-year-old, sexually abused a minor, and tied his feet and arms before putting him in a car's trunk. The attack occurred in the state of Georgia in 2018, and for this fact, there is a conviction and an arrest warrant. The article also states in 2012 Miko was convicted for sexual crimes against another child under the age of 10 in Georgia. To evade the US, Miko left the country as a YouTuber where he traveled the world and shared videos of his charitable works. At the time, he had just over 30,000 subscribers. Because of his arrest in a foreign country, different international authorities began investigating whether his YouTube channel was a facade to contact children and adolescents for sexual purposes. Back in 2018, an Atlanta-based news outlet posted an article titled "Wanted: Meth Trafficking, Assault Suspects Sought." Gwinnett County Sheriffs was seeking 6 men, one of which was Michael Wolfgang Nickel, aka Miko Worldwide, who was wanted on charges of aggravated sodomy and aggravated assault. Over the next 2 years, Miko allegedly went on the run internationally before being captured, deported, and transported to the Gwinnett County Jail. According to an arrest warrant, between March 29th and March 30th of 2018, between the hours of 9 p.m. and 5 a.m., Michael Wolfgang Nickel committed the act of aggravated assault and aggravated sodomy within room 236 at the In-Town Suites Hotel. Miko Worldwide was accused of assaulting the victim with his hands by applying pressure to the victim's throat to choke him from behind while committing the act of aggravated sodomy. Now this is where I believe the Colombian authorities made a mistake. The charge in the arrest warrant for sodomy states aggravated sodomy with force and against person's will, or person less than 10 years of age. Nowhere in the actual warrant does it list the victim's age, but it does include the name. The warrant also doesn't include the co-defendant, who was the third person present in the hotel room that night. March 18, 2018, Miko, who was 27 years old at the time, was hanging with a friend named Ishwa Long, who was 22. According to Miko, Ishwa was on a dating app called Jacked, which claimed to be the most diverse community for gay, bi, trans, and queer people around the globe. In simpler terms, it was a Tinder app for the LGBTQ community.
No problem.
That's where a 17-year-old named Bryson Orr made contact with Ishwa with the intent of hooking up. Miko would drive with his friend to pick up the 17-year-old, and when he got in the car, Miko alleges he asked to be taken to Walmart. The three would enter the Walmart and Bryson would steal cough medicine before going into the bathroom where he ingested it. The cough medicine was known as triple C's and is commonly abused by teens to get a euphoric effect. The three drove to another location to buy marijuana before going to the hotel room that was under Ishwa's name. That's where Ishwa and Bryson smoked while Miko watched, and according to Miko, Bryson started to twerk naked on the bed after. That's when the three of them engaged in consensual sex. After they did what they did, they noticed 17-year-old Bryson was bleeding from his rectum. Bryson would clean himself in the shower before being driven home by Miko and Ishwa, who knocked on the door of Bryson's home, but nobody answered. Bryson decided to check his brother's car door, which was unlocked, so he sat in the car and waved Miko and Ishwa off. It wasn't until the next day when Bryson's mom returned home from an out-of-town business trip that Bryson claimed he'd been raped. He'd spent the morning and afternoon with his brother, but failed to mention anything about an assault. That same day, the Swanee Police Department would respond to the hotel room, arresting 22-year-old Ishwa Long for aggravated sodomy. Police would arrive at Miko's parents' house, next to which Miko fled out of the back of the home, evading a police pursuit that involved canines. Within a short amount of time, he was able to disconnect his phone, his car, and quit his loss prevent job. When contacted by detectives, Miko claimed there had been a death in the family, and Miko would remain at large for the next 2 years until capture in March of 2020. Now, the victim claimed to have a much different experience with Miko Worldwide than the one Miko would eventually share in his defense. It turns out that all three men had met a month prior to this incident, and all three of them admitted to it. During that time, they'd smoke, and the victim gave oral sex to Miko, which would be used in Miko's defense as a clear indication of consent in a previous interaction. But in this interaction, the victim claimed to have blacked out. He started off by saying it was Miko who contacted him through the dating app using a fake name and profile picture. He asked if he wanted to do meth, to which he agreed. He admitted to stealing the cough medicine as Miko and Ishwa watched him take it in the bathroom, and when they got back to the hotel room, they asked him if he'd ever smoked angel dust. He was handed a blunt he believed contained marijuana, which caused him to lose consciousness. As he came in and out of consciousness, he realized he was being choked from behind and sodomized by Miko. Bleeding from his rectum, he was taken to the shower in the hotel room before being driven and left on the porch of his home as he was unable to walk.
See how different that sound? They saying the nigga smoked and he started twerking, but he's saying they raped the nigga. So it's word for word, so now we need proof.
A medical examination would find a 3-centimeter.
Uh-oh, I messed up. My bad, y'all.
You gotta take off video down. I don't give a
medicine before going into the bathroom where he ingested it.
My bad.
The cough medicine was known as triple. That same day, the Swanee Police Department knocked on the door of Bryson's home, but nobody answered. Bryson decided to check his brother's car door, which was unlocked, so he sat in the car and waited, next to which Miko fled out of the an afternoon with his brother, but failed to mention anything about assault. That same day, the Swanee for aggravated sodomy. Police would arrive at Miko's parents' house and involved canines. Within a short amount of time, he was able to disconnect his phone, abandon his car, and quit. Aggravated sodomy, but failed. Bryson claimed he. The next day, when Bryson's mom returned home from an out-of-town business trip, that Bryson claimed he'd been raped. He'd spent the morning and afternoon with his brother.
All right, we gonna start back right there because what I got so far, one side of the story saying he was down. This side, he about to explain saying that they forced him and raped him and put him in the shower. But here we go. Come on.
Failed to mention anything about an assault. That same day, the Swanee Police Department would respond to the hotel room, a 22-year-old Ishwa Long for aggravated sodomy. Police would arrive at Miko's parents' house, next to which Miko fled out of the back of the home, evading a police pursuit that involved canines. Within a short amount of time, he was able to disconnect his phone, abandon his car, and quit his loss prevention job. When contacted by detectives, Miko claimed there'd been a death in the family, and Miko would remain at large for the next 2 years until capture in March of 2020. Now, the victim claimed to have a much different experience with Miko Worldwide than the one Miko would eventually share in his defense.
Here we go.
It turns out that all 3 men had met a month prior to this incident, and all 3 of them admitted to it. During that time, they'd smoke, and the victim gave oral sex to Miko, which would be used in Miko's defense as a clear indication of consent in a previous interaction. But in this interaction, the victim claimed to have blacked out. He started off by saying it was Miko who contacted him through the dating app using a fake name and profile picture. He asked if he wanted to do meth, to which he agreed. He admitted to stealing the cough medicine as Miko and Ishwa watched him take it in the bathroom, and when they got back to the hotel room, they asked him if he'd ever smoked angel dust. He was handed a blunt he believed contained marijuana, which caused him to lose consciousness. As he came in and out of consciousness, he realized he was being choked from behind.
Now that's a big lesson. Always roll your own shit, man. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Sodomized by Miko. Bleeding from his rectum, he was taken to the shower in the hotel room before being driven and left on the porch of his home as he was unable to walk. A medical examination would find a 3-centimeter anal tear within his body. Ishwa Long, Miko's co-defendant, would end up taking a plea deal in the case for a lesser charge of cruelty, in which he admitted to throwing away the bloody sheets from the hotel room. The statement he gave the detectives would align with the statement given by the victim. The victim, who said he was raped.
Okay, so if he did that, that's how he got that sodomy charge. Let's go.
Would say he required Miko and Ishwa to wear condoms, which shows initially he consented to sex. But what he consent to was waking up only to be choked unconscious by Miko, who was penetrating him. With Miko in the county jail without bond, Miko's defense would file a motion for bond reconsideration. Initially, it was determined Miko posed a flight risk, as he'd obviously been captured in another country and the courts were aware of his YouTube channel. A fugitive report would state that after he was captured, Miko engaged in a physical altercation with customs or an ICE official in Colombia, causing him to have to be removed from the plane that was extraditing him and resulting in Gwinnett County having to pay for a private plane to bring him to the US.
He was a good guy.
During that flight, Miko would brag about his channel and his freedom while having warrants for his arrest, causing his bond to be denied. His defense would argue that Miko had been in jail for over 6 months without incident. Miko had been attacked by an inmate but did nothing to defend himself other than stopping the inmate from further harming him. His defense would say Miko fled the country in fear of punishment for the crime he was accused of, but he had no intention of fleeing again. His lawyer would also detail Miko's background. He'd worked for the past 5 years in retail loss prevention, a job based on identifying suspicious customers and preventing theft. Miko also had previous experience in law enforcement, but the lawyer obviously didn't want to bring up Miko's past arrest, in which he was charged with impersonating an officer. Back in 2013, Miko was a part of a group causing disturbance within a restaurant. When police responded, Miko identified himself as a police officer, but refused to provide identification. He'd further informed the officer he was POST certified, which stands for Peace Officer Standards and Training. POST is a training program meant to raise the training level of law enforcement officers. Miko had also received tactical squad basic training, basic correctional officer training, pepper spray training, mental health training, and a community service response team certification. It was during this 2013 case Miko wrote a letter to the judge detailing his education, employment history, and community outreach skills. He'd recently graduated with his undergraduate degree in criminal justice technology, stating his growing passion for criminal justice. He spoke on working closely with many police officers due to his role as a retail loss prevention detective, and he'd even participated in the Atlanta Police Department's marathon, raising awareness and funding for Crime Stoppers. But back...
Okay, so this guy doing all this police shit, right? But he be in everybody's hood doing shit. Tell me something you did, or this nigga go get niggas locked up, man. We go get niggas locked up for sure. Let's go.
Marathon, raising awareness and funding for Crime Stoppers. But back to his other case. Miko's lawyer would tell the judge of his degree in criminal justice and how Miko was very close to being hired as a federal law enforcement agent with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency when this incident occurred. His lawyer also brought up how the victim initially said he was raped, and 29 minutes into the interview stated he required Miko and his co-defendant to wear condoms. Miko's lawyer would tell the judge Miko has no prior history of sexual misconduct, other than a 2012 case out of Fulton County in which Miko was charged with sexual battery. The case was disposed without conviction, and details regarding the case were unavailable. The state brought up that 2 other agencies from another country were investigating Miko having been involved with another child, but details couldn't be provided. The judge decided Miko was still a flight risk and denied his bond. Miko would remain in jail for a total of 14 months before taking a plea deal in May of 2021. Specifically, he'd taken an Alford plea, in which the defendant, aka Miko, maintains innocence and does not admit to the criminal act he's accused of, but admits that the prosecution has sufficient evidence to persuade a judge or jury to find him guilty, so he agrees to be treated as guilty. The negotiated sentence would be 5 years probation with early termination in 3 years, and he'd be guilty of only aggravated assault, with the state agreeing to drop the charge of sodomy. He'd be given 14 months credit for his time served in jail, and if he filed to terminate his probation with 75 to 80% of his sentence completed, the state would not oppose, meaning he could be off probation in less than 3 years. It was explained to Miko that if he was to take the charges to trial and lose, he'd face a possible 25 to life in prison for sodomy and a possible 20 years for aggravated assault. Miko, the state, and the judge would accept the plea, and Miko was found guilty of aggravated assault. Within the following month, Miko would return to YouTube, and over the next 2 months would begin blogging his journeys through some of Atlanta's most dangerous neighborhoods before transforming his...
Okay, so you see how he a cop? He was doing all that cop shit, right? Now look where he at. See, I wouldn't trust him around all that illegal activity. You might tell, but whatever. Let's go.
And blogging his journeys through some of Atlanta's most dangerous neighborhoods before transforming his channel into a hood vlog channel in which he travels city to city, state to state, giving an inside look into some of America's most dangerous neighborhoods, as those featured in the videos would flex guns and proclaim gang affiliations. All of this was being done with many not knowing or claiming to not know Miko's criminal history up until Miko would link with China Mac. China Mac would be the first to publicly ban Miko Worldwide from New York, while Miko would respond with another hood vlog, this time in Riverdale, Georgia.
Hey man, China Mac, hey, let's shout out China Mac, man.
Fuck you, nigga.
What's up, man?
Fuck you, nigga. I'm a real blood, nigga.
You're not good out here, boy. You're not good out here, boy.
Now I'm just as confused as everyone else by the bud throwing up a pitchfork, so I decided to reach out. He's apparently a rapper named King Joey Cadell with a song with Dave East.
Hold on. I got a song with Dave East, bitch.
I told him I'd be putting them in the video I'm doing on Miko's charges, and when I asked if he knew of his charges, he replied with something about a 17-year. You know what I was doing at 17? Now, I don't even want to know what you was doing at 17. You co-signing what the other 17-year-old was doing. He'd mentioned Duty Low, who previously faced allegations against a child, but was never actually charged. And apparently Miko pulling up to his hood is enough verification that Miko is a real one. A picture posted to Instagram by the rapper Monster Blue would show him and all the GDs happy as hell to be next to Miko Worldwide, and Monster Blue would even go as far as saying China Mac was banned from Atlanta. Dang. What's crazy is I don't think the majority of these hoods knew the extent of Miko's case, but apparently these guys did, and either didn't care about his charges or just wanted the clout of being on his channel. The fact that they're throwing up gang signs and showing weapons while a law enforcement trained, criminal justice degreed, and damn near federal agent cameraman records them is fucking crazy, because any and everything seen in those videos could easily be used against them in the same hood that they want to show off. Now, it's clear Miko isn't a pedophile based on his conviction, but the only thing that saved him from a statutory rape charge is the fact that the age of consent in Georgia is only 16. Had he been convicted in Florida or many other states, he'd be a full-blown convicted sex offender with charges against a minor. Pleading out to aggravated assault, Miko was convicted of choking a 17-year-old boy from behind, and the thought of a 27-year-old engaging in any sexual act with a 17-year-old still doesn't sit right, whether it's a boy or a girl.
Nah, I don't.
But these are the facts of Miko's case, coming directly from the paperwork. It's now up to the viewers to decide if Miko is a genuine hood vlogger, or if the origins of his channel was a facade as investigated by law enforcement agencies. Now, this whole case is wild, and everything that I was able to dig up.
Man, that's crazy, man. So, shout out to 1090J. Follow his page at the end of the day. No, he big YouTuber, motivation. But look, check this out. Don't touch nobody under the age of 18. I don't think it's right. If you over a certain age, you shouldn't even touch anybody that's under 21, in my opinion. But yeah, tell me what y'all think of this story. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And yeah, I am out of here.